The Robinhood Trading App. What do I think about it? What's my opinion? Let's talk about it. Now, before I go into anything, I want to first note that this is a review of a company, and companies change. So if anything is different than what I'm talking about right now as time goes by, because who knows, maybe you're watching this a year from now, please leave it down in the comments down below so we can keep up to date on what may or may not any longer apply. So with that being said, let's just start at the very top of kind of the pyramid. And that is, are these people even legit? Like, who are they? Can you have confidence putting your money in them? And yes, they are totally legit. When you look at their page, you can see that they have their memberships with the FINRA and then SPIC. So they're in government compliance, all that sort of good stuff, and you can find that stuff on their website. The next thing, and this is what generates all the interest right now, their commissions, which are $0. But again, going back to what I initially talked about, companies change. So let's just say that they even go up to $3 or $3.50, $2. Sure, it may not be free, but those are still really good rates. So in the event that they do kind of scale up their cost, any way you slice it, fantastic commissions. There's definitely nothing to complain about here. In terms of hidden fees, because there are brokers out there where as soon as you start to read the fine print, you're like, But as far as I can tell, and I've gone over as best as I can, I don't see any sort of hidden fees. There are some fees for some transfer money ways, but for the most part, if you're doing just a traditional transfer of money, there aren't even any fees for that. So as far as I can tell, no hidden fees, and that's always a good thing. Now, on their website, in their marketing, they proclaim, hey, we have a very easy sign-up process, and they aren't kidding. It is extremely fast, very streamlined. In fact, the guy behind the camera, we were sitting in the airport waiting to fly somewhere, and he literally sat there on his phone and signed up in like a matter of 4 or 5 minutes. It was kind of crazy. So as far as just kind of streamline efficiency of getting signed up, it's about as quick as it gets. Now, customer service. This is where things are getting a little bit shaky. However, it makes sense. You get what you pay for, right? They aren't getting any commissions. Sure, they make money other ways, but they're not going to have a big staff like an E-Trade or a Scottrade or a TD Ameritrade is going to have. But E-Trade's also charging $10 per trade. So when they're charging $0 per trade, customer service is lacking. I say this because we sent them an email, and it's probably been about 2 weeks now since we sent that email, and maybe about a week and a half. Regardless, it's been more than enough time for somebody to reply to our initial email inquiry, and we have heard nothing back. Now, they do have a phone number, and we have called that, but as soon as we called that, they said, hey, email us. So it's kind of, we're figuring out here a big loop. So we'll see what happens with that. But if you're looking for somebody with just top-notch customer service that's going to be able to email you back quick or answer questions over the phone, this is not going to be the place for you. But again, it goes back to the commissions. If you don't need somebody to hold your hand as you go through all the processes, then they're going to be perfectly fine. But they're definitely not built around a customer service platform. Just again, because hey, they don't charge you anything to trade. Also, we discovered they do speak English, which is kind of funny. But I guess when I think about it, that's something that, if you're calling somebody and then you got somebody on the other line, they're like, wait, what? What are you saying? But when we called, it was a native English speaker, so there weren't any sort of problems or any sort of kind of, where exactly you are at, Bob, nothing like that. It was straight up, easy communication. They still told us to email them, but hey, good communication in terms of understanding what they were saying. The platform, what's going on with this? Well, it could be a pro, it could be a con, and we're going to discuss that here in a little bit, but it's all phone-based. So it's an app. You can't really call it an online brokerage because we really don't do anything online except just learn about them as a company. So all order entry, all that stuff is done via your phone, including the sign-up process. So is that bad? Is that good? Well, like I said, we'll discuss that a little bit later on in the video, but everything is phone-based. The one thing right off the bat I noticed, it is real-time quotes. Some of these brokerages and their platforms, they're delayed quotes, and then you have to pay or you have to deposit money to get real-time information. But with Robinhood, it's real-time information, so you don't have to worry about getting any sort of delayed information. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. At the time of this recording, stocks only. So if you're looking to trade options or currencies or futures, that's just not going to happen. Now, this is one of those things where if it does change and they all of a sudden offer options or Forex, let's get that comment or let's get that, denoted down in the comment section below. But as it stands right now, you can only trade stocks. If you're somebody that enjoys technical analysis and charts are a very pivotal point in your research, in your analysis, in your trade plan development, then this is just not going to be for you. All they offer is line charts. And if you know anything about charts, line charts is pretty much as basic, and there's just much better methods out there. So that is definitely not in Robinhood's favor. They could very well change that, but right now they only offer line charts, and that's no good. But again, in a little bit we'll discuss some maybe possible workarounds. As far as order entry, everything is very clean, very easy to use. It's user friendly. That's probably the best way to put it. You're not kind of like, wait, what's so? I mean, it's very well streamlined, and everything's right at your fingertips. And I mean, if you're brand new, you're still going to obviously have little questions. But if you have just even a basic familiarity with order types, then it's a very clean process when you order in, or when you put in an order. As far as order types themselves, very nice array. Now, if you're looking for some complex order entry types, they're not going to be for you. But if you just need the basic, market, limit, stop losses, and in fact they have two forms of the stop loss, which is always good from a risk management perspective, then yeah, they're going to be perfectly fine. But if you're looking for some sort of this cancels that, and conditional orders as they would be called, they don't offer anything like that. So that's definitely a con. But hey, if you don't need anything like that, then perfectly fine. What I'm going to talk about now is why a black and white question such as, hey, what do you think about Robinhood Trading App? It doesn't work because, well, there's a lot that it depends on. So I'm going to go through it depends, and that way hopefully it'll give you a better idea of, is it good or isn't it good? And this all starts with, well, you better know your strategy, meaning how are you going to answer the question, what direction do I think the price is going to move? Because if you can't formulate an opinion on that, then you shouldn't be in the markets anyways. As basic as that sounds, so many people just don't even consider that. But you need to be able to answer that question. So depending on your strategy, depending on how you're going to answer that question is going to dictate and play a pretty big role in whether or not Robinhood is good or not for you. Now, I touched on this earlier, but what happens if your strategy, so if your means of answering that question is technical analysis, meaning I want to use charts? Well, in that case, it goes back to the whole, well, they only offer line chart things. And, line charts are just, I guess they're just things, right? They're not very useful. And you already understand that if you, realize and, use charts already. So for that, you're going to have to go to a third party. Now, I'm not going to assign any sort of, names or anything just because, things are always changing. And if you're watching this 7 months from now, with my luck, I'd probably give a site and then they close down or something. So I'm going to say use the power of search engines. Get out there and see what's available to give you charts, because Robinhood is just not going to give you what you need, with a line chart. So find a third party. Maybe you can finagle something where you don't have to pay. Maybe you'll have to pay a few extra dollars to bring in charts. But you are going to definitely have to use a third party if your strategy is technical analysis. Now, if you use fundamental analysis, meaning you love those PE ratios, you love balance sheets and cash flow statements, then for you, Robinhood's perfectly fine because that information is available all over the place with any sort of search engine. It's not like you need Robinhood to generate that information for you. It's available all over the place. So fundamental analysis, no problem. If your strategy is, hey, I'm going to use social media, so I'm going to go to Twitter or StockTwits or Facebook or wherever, Instagram, to find to find out what direction something's going to go. Don't do that, okay? This is more a joke than anything. That is not a strategy. And it's kind of a joke, but this is what a lot of people do. And I say that because maybe you're not aware, but I have a trading podcast and we interview lots of guests. And there have been a ton of guests where that was their plan going in was, hey, I'm going to use social media. So Robinhood's not good in that situation because nothing would be good because that's a terrible strategy. So don't be using social media, message boards, anything like that. Let's break things down further in terms of trader and investor. Again, this is going to dictate, does Robinhood really pertain to you? So we'll first break down trader, and there's two parts here. We have those that are active traders and those that I'll call passive traders. Now, this is by no means some sort of official number or official anything. It's strictly my opinion. Maybe you want to define it as something else, but I'm going to consider an active trader one that does more than 3 trades per week. If you're doing more than 3 trades per week, that tells me that you're quite into it. You're watching the markets, you want to make trades, you want to get in and out, and you're you're very active. Robinhood's not going to be for you. If you think that you can be a full-time day trader from your phone, it's just not reality. I mean, because when you think about it, you need, as a day trader, as a very active trader, you need to be monitoring charts, or you need to be monitoring other things. And you can't do all that from your phone screen. So now, like I said, that could be 5. Maybe 5 would still work. But I'm going to say anything more than 3, Robinhood's just, it's not going to give you what you need to do. At this point in time, if they come up with a brokerage that is online and you can set on your computer and put things up on different monitors rather than just one phone screen, then cool. But as it stands right now, it's not designed for the active trader, one that wants to be in and out of all sorts of stocks. Now, if you are a passive trader, maybe we could call that a swing trader, meaning you're doing less than 3 trades a week, then yeah, they're perfectly fine. You are by no means, down in the trenches, getting in and out of things, every 10 minutes, every hour, every 15 minutes. You're just more passive, more relaxed. Now, you're definitely going to be more involved than an investor, but you're not nearly as involved as an active trader. So passive trader, yeah, Robinhood would be just fine. Now I should note this. What about the pattern day trading rule? It applies. And it's nothing against Robinhood. It's just a government regulation. So unless you have that $25,000, Robinhood is not going to get you out of that at all. If you're curious on some ways to potentially get around the pattern day trader rule, I'll put a link down in the description, and you can look into that if that maybe pertains to your situation. But Robinhood, as far as that's concerned, it's nothing against them because they have no control, government regulation. Now let's talk about an investor. So an investor is somebody that basically does less than 1 trade a week, meaning you're buying and selling. Sure, you could open up multiple positions, but you don't have any plans of selling anytime soon. For them, Robinhood, kind of okay. I say kind of because as it stands, especially if you want to invest for like retirement, there aren't any IRAs, there aren't any sort of retirement vehicles that you can sign up for. Once again, one of those things that could change. So if it does change, let's just make sure we get it denoted and documented down in the comment section below. But as it stands, no IRAs, no sort of retirement tools that the IRS allows people to use. So I would count that as definitely a con. But if you just want it from a strictly, I don't care about an IRA or anything like that, then they would work perfectly fine because you by no means need to be in and out of things all the time if you're doing it from your phone. So that's the different kind of aspects to look at it. So are they good for you? Well, I don't know. Go through this, figure out kind of what you want to be doing, where you see yourself going, and it's going to let you know whether or not Robinhood is going to allow you to do that or not. And I realize, and I want to end with this, yes, they have 0 fees, but remember, if you're trying to fit, so if Robinhood is this, so a round peg, and you're trying to fit it through a square hole, which would be your strategy, it's not worth it because I don't want to pay that $5. I know that $5 would let me execute the exact strategy that I want to do. It would help me accomplish the exact goals, but I don't want to do $5. So I'm going to do all that, but I'm going to use Robinhood because they have 0. You're going to find out, and I speak from experience here, that you're going to make mistakes that cost you a whole lot more than $5 because the platform is just not designed for what you want to do. So yes, $0 in commission is fine, but to pay a few dollars, and there's plenty of brokers out there that are $5 and such. Now don't go pay $10 at E-Trade, please don't. But there's plenty that are much less than that. So don't sacrifice you being able to run your strategy like a fine-tuned machine just for the sake of, well, I want to save like $3. I want to save $5. Because again, you're going to make mistakes that cost you a whole lot more than $5, and then it's just not going to make sense, within the grand scheme of things if you're looking down at things, from a business perspective. So with that being said, hopefully this helps. Hopefully this answers your question and kind of points you down the path that you need to go. Again, I would really appreciate it if we can keep everything as best up to date as possible. So if you watch this and say, hey, don't be a scumbag, that's not how it is, well then let me know. Let me know that something has changed down in the comment section, and then you as a viewer, you can quickly scroll down through the comments and just see kind of what still pertains. Or of course, you can just go to their website and double check and see whether or not. I mean, if you go to the website and all of a sudden it says stocks, bonds, options, futures, well then obviously something has changed since the time of this video. So thanks again for watching. I really do hope this helps.